Welcome to Friday night, and that of course means welcome to On The Ring Apron. Now, for those of you joining us here, you know, and for those of you who've watched previous episodes with us, you know that we're doing things just slightly different. You'll notice the camera's a lot closer. I'm here, and my partner in crime is not here. Kinda, because she's actually going to be joining us via her own little satellite here. So let's bring her in and let her join in on the fun. Give us just a second, guys. There she is.
Hey.
Hey, we're live here on The Ring Apron. Thanks for joining us here. I know it's taking time out of your vacation, but you've more than earned it.
Yeah.
And the good news is no matter how much I act up tonight, you can't send me to the couch tonight. That bed's all mine.
Hey, yeah, it is. You get to sleep on the X tonight, but hey, I get to sleep on the X tonight too.
That's true. You have your own bed to enjoy yourself. But hey, we're here for another Friday night of On The Ring Apron. For those of you who have taken the time to join us, we appreciate you on this split screen edition. Kia joining us via satellite. She's about a couple hundred miles away from me, but isn't going to miss this for all the fun in the world. So we appreciate you taking the time to come on and be with us again tonight, so I don't have to sit here and drone on by myself for 30 minutes.
Yeah. That's no fun. Trust me, I know. I live with you.
Wouldn't that be terrible? But hey, we saw an exciting week of WWE as we went along through the week's events. We, of course, anyone who joins us knows we start with Monday Night Raw. Kia will have to fill in a lot of the slots for me. I'll be honest, I had to work late that night umpiring some late ball games, so she is the one who saw it. I only caught the recap. But for the most part, it looks like they did a pretty good job of setting up SummerSlam and the forthcoming matches. So, Kia, what's the main points we need to see from Raw?
Hold on one second. So, we know that Apollo has been out, obviously, but he came back this past Monday and he reclaimed what was rightfully his with the United States title. And again, you know, I'm glad for him to be back. I'm excited. He's at the present moment, when we last checked, he was holding both U.S. titles. So obviously he will relinquish one of them because they've got an updated version. With that being said, of course, you understand that with that match, you had MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Bobby Lashley, who were outside of the ring at the time. So obviously, they were going to do everything in their power to get involved in this match to make sure that MVP kept the title.
Right.
So,
and then, you expected that the Hurt Business was going to certainly do everything in their power to keep the titles, on their side. We also, I saw from the highlights that Shelton Benjamin ended up losing his 24/7 title as well to Akira Tozawa.
That was very, very, very. It was supposed to be a triple threat. It was a triple threat match, which I would have pulled for anyone except for Shelton Benjamin to keep the title or to retain the title. What happened with that match was it was a triple threat, and the Ninja Foot Clan, as we like to call them, decided they were going to sacrifice themselves. They were going to sacrifice themselves for Tozawa, and they end up doing that, and they end up actually throwing themselves in the way of the Hurt Business is what MVP called his crew or his squad or whatever. And while that was taking place outside the ring, Tozawa jumps up and flies through the air, lands on Truth, hits Truth, and is a three-time 24/7 champ. So I had to make sure I got that number correct, because I know they said at first he was 2, and then I went back and I looked at it, and he was a 3-time champ. So that was great. I loved it. You understand, I love Apollo Crews, and I love Tozawa. So to see finally the good people actually are getting getting what they deserve, more or less. So,
and with all due respect, being able to do so without necessarily having to have it on Truth, which was something that, while Truth has been entertaining, and on your questions with the Queen, you even mentioned how critical Truth has been to keeping things entertaining in WWE during this COVID-19 period. But for them to be able to actually have the 24/7 rules and storyline, send it towards someone who's not R-Truth or ex-opponent, is a nice little twist. Now they're adding more people into it. And I think that's what made it so entertaining at the beginning, was that there were so many contenders.
But yeah, I can tell you for a fact, when I was looking at it, MVP got to the point he got so mad because in his mind he believed that title belonged to him. So he decided he was going to actually ask for a rematch And going throughout the night, Apollo, of course, we know Apollo is a fighting champion. Of course, throughout the night, Apollo finally gave him his answer. But instead of Apollo delivering it directly, he went through, I think, if I remember, Charlie Caruso and told her. And then Charlie ended up telling him. So MVP somehow kind of gained that saying, okay, good, I got him to actually have a match with me at SummerSlam. So that'll be one of the matches that take place at SummerSlam. If you want to know the picks, you know when to tune in for Top Rope spoilers. So, yeah.
It's going to be a fun weekend when that comes up, because not only do we have SummerSlam, but we also have an NXT TakeOver that weekend. And from what we're hearing, a Payback pay-per-view the following weekend. So we're going to have 3 pay-per-views in an 8-day period. So plenty of fun for us coming up later this month.
Goodness gracious. There's going to be a lot going on, and I can't wait, because we usually do a lot. So I can't wait to see how everything plays out.
A nice bit of smash mouth back and forth also that I saw between WWE champion Drew McIntyre and his SummerSlam opponent Randy Orton. We've said for weeks now that this may be the best Orton we've seen, but arguably you could see that this may be the most vengeful and, just all-around psychotic version of face McIntyre that we've seen up to this point, because he knows he's going to have to bring everything he has if he wants to beat Orton.
But the thing with that is Drew, ever since he regained that title, ever since he won that title, he has been nothing but a fighting champion. And the fact is, we're seeing heel Orton, who is extremely well off of killing a legend. But like we stated last week, he's willing to kill a legend before it actually happens. He's willing to kill that road. So Drew, will not become a legend if Randy Orton goes ahead and takes that away from him. But I don't know. I love both of them. I love Randy Orton, but I'm putting my money on Drew. The little money I do have, that is.
Well, you're seeing, Drew, really go into his more psychotic and sadistic side, going through lines of saying, not only am I kicking your head off, but I'm kicking your head off for every person that you've punted in the head over the years, every legend you've taken out, every person that you've, destroyed along the way. I will make sure every one of them, you pay the price for every one of them. And unlike Orton, you'll see it coming.
Oh yeah, he's gonna make sure that you see it coming, because Orton will sneak attack you. That's what vipers or snakes do. They won't give you a direct, I'm gonna show you. But Drew, being the person he is, will let you know it's gonna happen, because his foot's gonna be in your face. You can't miss it. So yeah.
Right. And then, of course, the setup for the Raw Women's Championship also put in play this week. Basically, Bayley and their usual friend, Deux de Trois, kind of putting themselves in, throwing the other one under the bus. It's Sasha throwing Bayley under the bus. Is next week Bayley and Asuka will face each other, with Asuka earning a title shot at SummerSlam against the new champ, Sasha Banks.
Well, let's go back a little bit. Did you see the video package that they put together? Sasha and Bayley put together they put together a nice little video package. I was actually, I'm about the video packages as of late with Smackdown and Raw and the different, competitors. But it was very nice. But also at the same time, at the end of that video package, as they were trying to wrap it up, Asuka kind of, does a cut-in scene where it shows her getting mad, or it shows her getting upset. It shows her saying that something about revenge is best served sweet or best served cold, if I go back and remember it correctly. But you could tell after what happened, and how she lost her title, she is a woman that, has nothing to lose. She lost her title, and she lost her best friend and her partner at the same time. So she's more of a dangerous woman. All I'm going to say is that Bayley and Sasha need to watch themselves and watch their back and keep their head on a swivel with her, because after everything that happened and the fact that it was proved that they were willing to, find a loophole in Stephanie's plan, yeah, Drew does have his work cut out for him. He's got a lot, but I think Drew will be perfectly fine. He's taken out Dolph, and he took out Brock, which you figure Brock is probably one of the biggest people to take out, and he took him out. So I feel like he will be able to handle Randy Orton very, very well. But I'm just saying, Asuka has nothing to lose, and right now with the way things are going, I think Sasha needs to more or less stop joking and actually say, oh, she's serious. She might just, take this. But there's more. If you've tuned into SmackDown, there's more. We'll talk about that later, though.
Right. The thing about Raw is they ended up actually having so many good storylines come in this week after kind of taking a week back. And when you really had a chance to digest it all, you ended up realizing there was some really good stuff in there. We don't have time to address it all, or we'd spend an hour just on Raw. You have the potential remakings of the rebuilding of the Riot Squad that could potentially be coming back into play. You ended up having Montez Ford apparently get poisoned potentially by Zelina Vega and his group, which brought Bianca out. So that's a mistake. The moment the earrings came off, it was game over. But before we head on to the next show, I feel like we've got to address the big thing that happened this week, and that is two simple words: Raw Underground.
I'm not feeling that at all. I do not like it. I think it's taken a step backwards in saying that, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad Shane's back. I'm glad he is. I'm glad he's back with, you know, the business. But the fact that you're taking a step back, as far as the wrestlers, I think everything should be done in the ring and not underground. You want everything to get seen and shown on TV. And the fact that you came up with this, it's just like, to me, I think we could have done something better with that time slot. It is.
I like the comment at the bottom. It's Shane's midlife crisis. That's a good one. I enjoy.
Actually, honestly, and that's what's going around. I think it is. I think we saw Vince have his midlife crisis, and now I think Shane's going through one. But that's just
Vince had a couple.
Yeah.
But he keeps bouncing back. So, you know, more credit to the old man. You know, I think Raw Underground is something that, because we've only seen it for 1 week, you know, it's going to take some time for it to really set in. There have been a lot of storylines, you know, that we've looked at over the years where we see that first week and we're like, what is this? You know, where are they going with this? And, you know, it has to build up over time, and we've ended up liking it in the end. So, you know, maybe they're going somewhere with this, you know, but I do think it needs more time, and we'll have to see how it fletches out, especially if it's potentially leading to something for SummerSlam.
I did like the fact, and, you know, as much as a KO fan as we are, I like the fact that the Iconics tried to work their way on his show this past Monday, and he said he already had 2 special guests that he was inviting, and they just got upset. But I liked the fact that he even called Liv herself and said, I want you on my show, without really explaining to Liv why. He just wanted her on the show. And for me, that reunion of the Riot Squad, because Sarah's not here. So, you know, for anybody that knows she's about to have a baby. Huh?
She's too busy at home having babies.
She's about to have a baby, and her and, we call him Ray because that's his real name. They're about to have a kid. So I was excited to actually get to see, like, even 2/3 of the Riot Squad, that high-powered match. I got emotional. I really did, to actually be able to see the fact that, you know, Ruby took her lump. She lost all her matches, but the fact that she came back and it was just a totally different thing, and the fact that she was willing to apologize to Liv for her actions and her demeanor and how everything turned out, I think that just, like, I literally cried for that. That just kind of made me happy to see that they could get back on the same page. And the fact that you face the Iconics, it's just, if y'all go back and look, it's funny all the way around. So...
Well, it'll be interesting to see if these reunions can be able to build themselves as we're heading towards SummerSlam. It's not the top storyline, but we'll see how it plays out. But as I said, you know, there were so many good storylines that are starting to come together on Raw. We could spend an hour just talking about it, but we're not boring our crowd that much, you know, through all that. So unless something, you know, just rears its head that's completely unexpected, we kind of have an idea on where Raw is going, but we do move through. Last comment on Raw before we move on to NXT.
I want to bring up something. We actually got to talk to Ruby, and my question for her was, if you had to have a different hair color, what hair color would you want to go to next? And she explained to us it was going to be yellow. So when I saw her this past Monday, I said, oh my God, she dyed her ends yellow. For me to actually have an impact that says she actually heard what I said and she actually went and dyed her ends yellow, that made me happy as a cosmetologist. I loved it. So, yeah.
Yeah, our resident household cosmetologist down there, you know, Ruby giving us the inside source on our recent Zoom conversation with her. And she said, your hair's getting ready to go yellow here pretty soon. And then the next time she appeared on Raw, sure enough, there it was. So we knew before everyone else did, and maybe even Ruby herself knew it was going to happen, because it definitely was full green when we talked to her. So that was a fun moment for us.
I'm going to cross my fingers, because I saw a comment. I want the Riot Squad to stay together, too. I know they don't have their 3rd member, but I want to see the 2 of them kind of flourish and actually kind of move through and take out all the tag team themselves. They already know they have good chemistry. But let's go ahead and hit NXT.
Right. Well, NXT ended up being, a continuation as they build towards their own pay-per-view. They've got NXT Takeover 30, not Triple X, as we've had to correct ourselves on. This is not a porno. This is going to be fun, fun unless Raw Underground ends up being involved in it somehow with the dancing girls. Continue to build it up. First of all, you had a bit of a sad story for us, which was Dexter Lumis finding out that he's going to not be able to compete in the North American title match. We ended up talking to him yesterday on Zoom. Believe it or not, he does talk. That was very convincing for us, but it was certainly interesting to have a good conversation.
I just know, like, I feel like in that match, and so when he won that match, I was hella excited, and then to find out this Wednesday by Regal that he will not be competing because his ankle got injured. I was I'm hoping they kind of go, when they're going to go back into the two people that win those solo matches, put them in that. So let's see I want to see how that turns out, honestly. Hello?
Well, it opens the door for Finn Balor to answer back into the title picture because they were the ones that were not pinned and submitted in their match. Yeah. So you still have one more match. It's going to have some other folks in it, but, I know Cameron Grimes is involved in it. I'm sure you're thrilled about that, Kia. Anyway, speaking of Cameron Grimes, unfortunately, he ended up on the wrong end of the very limitless and very angry champion in Keith Lee. He once again decided he was going to open his mouth and once again was on the wrong end of Keith Lee before Karrion Kross made his presence known to the champ.
Man, I think he needs to take his sticky, icky, grimy, gritty self back to wherever he came from. And just leave. Just do us all a favor and leave. I don't want to see you. We don't want to see you. Go away.
Well, the fact is, he's probably the most over heel outside of Karrion Kross just because of his annoyance and his just complete, ego that, he have about himself because of a single win over Finn Balor a couple of months ago. We'll see if that continues to pan. And, of course, also seeing whether this match between Keith Lee and Karrion Kross is going to actually happen. Everyone expects that it will. It just has not been made official yet. You, of course, also crowned the number one contender for the women's title. And I don't necessarily know if we'd call it an upset or not, but with a little help from the Robert Stone brand, it's Dakota over Rhea Ripley. So Dakota will get Io Shirai at TakeOver 30.
I think that's going to be a good match. I'm still pulling for Io, but I want to see what the captain can actually do when she has no Raquel. But to find out she has no Raquel, but she did have the Robert Stone brand Martinez, so that was kind of interesting to see. I just think, honestly, I'm glad they're giving these different women a chance to win these titles. That's great to see, and it's also helping, NXT say, we have talent, we're showing it, and, these women can do a lot. So, crossing my fingers, I love Io, but I would like to see Dakota actually hold it for a little bit.
It's weird. Earlier you said you picked Io, but now you're kind of back and forth, so Top Rope Spoilers will be where you'll have to make your official pick.
Well, I'm leaving everybody kind of at who am I picking for, so.
That's right. And then at the end of the show, the Undisputed Era getting a chance to try to become the first 4-time tag team champions, but it ends up being a little bit of back and forth. A couple of weeks ago, you had Adam Cole on the Pat McAfee show, and there was a little bit of banter and a little bit of argument with them. But ultimately, you ended up having McAfee run his mouth a little bit too much. It got Cole distracted, and ultimately Cole ends up with a punt. The match was made official about an hour before Smackdown went live. Pat McAfee will go one-on-one with Adam Cole at TakeOver 30.
But here's the thing. You had Adam Cole on your show, and you were great, and everything was fine, and then you made a comment. Adam Cole got offended. To me, it was just like, it didn't look like he should have been, but I guess there was more behind that I didn't know. But you finally got everything smooth over. He invites you to NXT. He invites you to Full Sail to be there to actually witness what's about to happen, and then you make some off-the-wall stupid joke or comment that you feel like is funny. I didn't find that comment funny at all, and the fact that, Adam Cole, standing there listening could hear you, he's being the better person more or less, but you're pushing his buttons, and I'm surprised he didn't knock your head clean off your body sooner. I'm just saying. You don't mess with someone like that.
Well, that's certainly where it appears this is heading. Is this one is going to be one of the more deeply personal ones, and one that, you know, we know what Adam Cole is capable of doing. He's been in matches with people like Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny, Velveteen Dream, where he could go, you know, 30, 40, 50 minutes. We haven't seen Pat McAfee in a ring in a wrestling capacity at all. You know, we know he's a former football player and, you know, was a football player for many years. But now can he transition it into a wrestling ring? And then your first match is against the longest reigning NXT champion of all time.
The fact that you saw Triple H and Shawn Michaels out there trying to break this up, when you got Triple H out there in what seems like a semi-suit trying to say, back up, leave, walk away, and you're still sitting here running your mouth, you're bumping your gums, and you're not leaving, you deserve to get whatever punishment you're handed. And for me, I would have loved to see Adam Cole, baby, actually knock his head clean off his body. But what we saw at the end of the show is somehow Adam Cole got like sucker punched or sucker kicked. He hit the floor, and you didn't see no more movement after that. So I'm hoping that he's okay.
Well, I mean, he was apparently well enough to be able to issue the challenge, and the challenge has been accepted. So we're going to see Pat McAfee's first match at Takeover. So, you know, NXT continues to build, and as we found out as we transition now into Smackdown, NXT women going to get an opportunity as well as Raw women. So let's go ahead and open what happened on Smackdown tonight with that. Smackdown, Stephanie McMahon announcing, first of all, of course, that Asuka will get her match with Bayley on Raw, as we talked about earlier. Asuka gets a shot at Banks in the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam should Asuka win. But on the flip side for Bayley, she ended up finding out that next week on SmackDown there is going to be a tri-branded battle royal with every non-champion woman on the roster from all three brands, with the winner getting Bayley at SummerSlam for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So it not only opens the door for the SmackDown women, but also the Raw and NXT women, sans Asuka, to allow them to be able to, you know, get a shot, which means you could hand the title shot to virtually anyone.
I like the fact that, you know, Stephanie said she was a McMahon. She said she doesn't hold no regret or no ill will against the two. But the fact, and I thought the way that Sasha and Bayley, you know, spoke tonight, how can you sit here saying you're going to be role models when you're attacking people and you're, you know, hurting people and you're bringing people down and, you know, you think you're all of that, but the way you're doing it is not fair. So because y'all like to be on all three shows and all three brands, we're going to let all three brands and the women actually go ahead and try to have a battle royal or whatever, and we're going to see whoever wins will get Bayley at SummerSlam. I was excited about that match. You just don't understand. I like Bayley, but I would like to see her drop the title at some point. And I know everybody's kind of hoping for Sasha, but if someone can actually take the title from her sooner, that would be great, because I want to see it kind of get mixed up a little bit.
Well, Bayley celebrating her 300th consecutive day as champion. Yeah. Remember that she had a lengthy reign before she lost the title to Charlotte for what ended up being, I believe, 6 days or 5 days or something like that, dating back nearly a year ago. So for the last year and a half, it's been Bayley holding that title virtually every step of the way. But also along the way, as Stephanie pointed out, she's made a lot of enemies along the way.
Yes.
You know, and the fact is, as Booker T said once, either you can make friends or you can win championships and make money, you know, but you can't have both. And so Bayley's obviously chosen the latter route. The Universal Championship, you know, rearing its head as the match has now been made official between Braun Strowman and The Fiend. But an interesting twist tonight, The Fiend actually making a rare appearance in the ring on SmackDown. Normally, he keeps his appearances just to pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Or very quick segments, but actually appearing with a captive Alexa Bliss. But instead of putting the mandible claw back on her, it appears that Alexa was able to control him a little bit. And I think he may seem a bit confused. I don't know if this will ultimately be Braun's downfall or possibly The Fiend's, but it does appear that Alexa has the power to be able to control him at least a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I was like, I don't think I could have seen the mandible claw be put on her, a second time within the last week. That would have just kind of broken my heart. You're so used to seeing her like vengeful and evil and mean, but she's been so good with her face role that it's like, what is she going to do now? But at the same time, it looked like, The Fiend was conflicted was to hear Braun say he didn't give a damn about her or he don't care. It's not about her. It's about him, and it's about them and them fighting. So I was surprised to hear about that. I just could not believe my ears when he said that.
I do wonder, if it's ultimately going to come down to a very similar decision that we saw with the Asuka and Kairi Sane situation, where Braun is going to get put in a position where he's going to have to pick between the Universal Championship or potentially Alexa, even if it's not for romantic reasons. It's potentially just because it's the right thing to do. But is he too far gone, and is he too much of a monster that he will, sacrifice Alexa if it means keeping the Universal title with him and not with the Fiend? So that may be one of the more intriguing storylines heading into SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Looks like we
got at least on SmackDown.
Little bit of buffering issues. Hey, this is new to us as well, so we're trying to work through it, guys. So we appreciate your patience.
Tucker, I think, and the interview, and then. Well, I don't know what happened. I think I went to the bathroom.
It's fine. We're having a little bit of buffering issues on the live end, so we're just you're kind of cutting out a little bit. So I heard Otis, but keep going from there.
I want to know what I went to the bathroom during that part. What happened there? Fill me in on what happened.
To which part, Otis?
Yeah, Otis and Tucker. I know they were doing an interview, and then something else happened before that.
Well, Otis didn't take kindly to the comments that were made on the dirt sheet by both Miz Morrison and ultimately by Sonya Deville, ultimately Heavy Machinery coming out and having a match, which, of course, had Mandy come out later. So it leads to a tag match or potentially starts setting the Mandy and Sonya match later on. But, what was interesting is the fact that and the lights went out, and it leads to our final, segment of SmackDown tonight, which was the first live emergence of Retribution, which looks like, from what I can tell, are going to be like the 5 hidden camera, behind the scenes guys. A lot of people speculated it was Mustafa Ali. Obviously, he has re-debuted, so it's not him. We know there's at least 2 female members of the group because they basically laid waste to anyone and every person and everything. Maybe Nexus and the Shield kind of come together. I think her feed is behind y'all. Sorry about that.
That's what it looked like, because you saw a group of 5 people too that looked like women, because you could see the long hair out of the hoods, and then the other 3, but they all had on face masks. I'm thinking, what's going on? What is happening? And I couldn't really tell, but I know they were destroying anything and everything in their path that moved. So I want to know how this going to work out for SmackDown. And is it just on SmackDown? Is it going to happen on Raw?
Which is now the people of Retribution coming back to, quote unquote, make things right. It'll be interesting to see, because, again, we all assumed that it was just a person, but now it's a group of people, male and female. So it's interesting to see when they reveal who are these people and what is their agenda, other than just, for the moment, causing chaos and destruction. One person I saw through social media said it's if you took the Shield, the Nexus, and Insanity and infuse them all together, that would end up with Retribution. So, I don't know where this is going. I think it's got a million different directions it can go. But it was very interesting that SmackDown chose to end their end tonight with that, to really kind of set the tone that they're setting this up for something big.
My thing, and I'm sitting here thinking, who is the ringleader? Who is the mastermind behind the group? Because you have to understand, I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to continue to bring it up until it comes into fruition. I would think someone like this could be Seth is busy with being a Messiah, Dean is on, or John Moxley is on AEW, and Roman's out. So for me, I think it could be anybody like a CM Punk, because so you have to understand CM Punk was good with controlling people and making people work to his work to his
Right.
His benefit.
It'll be fun to see where this ends up. But
so I'm thinking it could be.
We had a lot of stuff to talk about.
And
the thing about it is, though, is the fact
behind the scenes while they go out and do all the dirty work for him.
Well, in the end of the day, I mean, we simply just don't have enough time to hit and talk about just Raw alone. But at the end of the day, not enough time to hit every topic, so we're going to try to do our best to, bring up as many topics as we can. We didn't even discuss, Seth Rollins officially accepting Dominic Mysterio's match.
Oh my goodness!
We didn't talk about that. We didn't mention, so the next person to qualify for the North American title match, which was Damian Priest, and the fact that he'll take on another contender in Bronson Reed the next week. And then of course, the Sheamus and King Corbin kind of bickering at each other over this situation with Matt Riddle, Shorty G getting involved. We didn't hit any of these stories just because simply, we're already at our quota time already for this week. And, just there's not enough time to talk about it all. But that's the joy of when we start heading towards these big pay-per-views is there's so much to talk about. Unless we're a 2 or 3 hour show, we simply just don't have enough time.
Trust me. And we forgot about the whole Angel Garza Andrade thing. I'm just saying. By the way, Zelina looked really good in her outfit this week. I have to mention that like I always do. And Sasha looked good tonight. I saw Sasha's outfit. I'm not really happy with the.
Of course she does. When does she not look good? And of course, it's a shame because she had to get that outfit tore up by Bianca at the end. But hey, she got time now. But for those of you who joined us tonight, that was this has been a very unique episode to say the least. Kia is expected to be back in house next week, so hopefully we won't have as much of the communication issues. I know the feed kind of jumped out a little bit on both ends. So this is new to us. We appreciate those of you who have watched to stick around with us. We try to do our best to bring you content. And, hey, just because we're not in the same household tonight doesn't mean that we're not going to still have some fun. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate everything that you do. Keep those questions coming. Kia's got a lot of good questions with the Queen segments coming up. We want those questions to keep filtering in. If you haven't had a chance to go back and watch our episode from earlier this week, she discusses the current WWE roster, how it's changed through through all of this COVID-19 stuff, and has a chance to kind of give her thoughts as to what could be better about it. So go check it out a little bit. So Kia, take us home. Any closing thoughts before we head out?
On. That way they could see how you did it. That way they could see how the belt glows. So that was just a suggestion I actually saw someone ask about for the last couple of weeks.
I've seen that a bunch that people have asked me to, put together not just the plates, but they saw your glow belt from your cosplay. Hey, Naomi follows us now, so it must have been really, really good. So perhaps if people want to see that, let us know, and I'll be happy to throw it together if we get enough people that want to see it. But that's On the Ring Apron for this week. I'm Steve.
I'm Kia.
And for those of you who joined us tonight, thank you very much. We'll be back together next week. So Kia, be safe where you're at. Everybody else, wash hands, do everything else. Kia, do your spill and take us home.
Yeah. Sanitizer, wash your hands, go out very little, smash, social distance, and then, we should be back in the ring hopefully before long. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and say goodnight, everybody. Huh?
No, they did talk about that. They talked about potentially right after SummerSlam that they may be getting ready to start doing live shows again. And I don't know if it'll be minimal crowd, but there was some talk about that. But it's all dirt sheet material at the moment, so we'll have to see if it pans out. But anyway, everybody, have a great night.